Hello and welcome to the Alalibo Academy. Today we're looking at the subject of political science, and we are saying that political science is degree is the best among social sciences. And in this video, we're going to discuss why that is the case. Political science has been around for a long time. It's one of the oldest disciplines in the social sciences, and so we're going to begin to understand just a little bit more about this very important and very interesting discipline uh, among the social sciences. All right, so let's take a look at this. Now, by definition, political science is the study of processes, principles, right? So processes, principles, structure of government, and of political institutions, right? So governmental principles, guiding principles that guide government to different actions, uh, that guide government to take important decisions. The structure of government and of political institutions. So we want to understand, political science seeks to understand the structure of government, and government has a lot of structures. Seeks to understand the structure of government and of political institutions, right? There are many political institutions. The parliament, for example, is a political institution. The political parties are political institutions. And seeking to understand and seeking to study the structure of government, the processes, the principles, and political institutions, the substance of political institutions is very critical to the functioning of government. And a second definition says the analytical study of public policy. And this really speaks to political science as a social science, and as a matter of fact, there's a push to make it a science that is based on analytical study. So the analytical study of public policy and policies, past, present, and prospective, right? So political science seeks then to study politics, to study policies, to study policies within the context of the past, the present, and future policies that may guide society, but also seeks to study the processes, principles, and structure of government and of political institutions. So, and this is why this is really, really a very interesting and challenging discipline to study. It's very interesting, especially if one is interested in understanding politics and understanding the systems of governance, the methodology of governance, because governance really guides society. And government has become so important because they're very involved in our lives. And this could not be truer during the pandemic, where government was very much involved in the lives of the citizens. And so government, the study of government is very important because we need to understand the policies, we need to understand the driving force behind decisions, we need to understand a lot about the processes, and we need to understand our role in society within the view of government. Okay, so political science degree is the best among social sciences. And you may ask, why do I say that? The reasons are endless. So we're going to take a look at a few of the reasons why this is the best amongst the social sciences, because that allows you really to do a lot of things. A political science degree, unlike degrees in other subjects, other disciplines in social sciences, allows you to do a lot of things. The application is wide. The opportunities are endless, and the skills acquisition is very limitless if you open yourself up and willing to learn. So here we say it is the most versatile degree in social sciences, the most versatile degree in social sciences. And if you take a look at all the other degrees, they are very limited, limited in some sense. They can only deal with certain areas of society, other degrees. But political science is really is very broad. The application, that is very broad, and that's because of the flavor and the substance of the discipline and its impact on society. And so we say it's the most versatile degree in the social sciences And one of the reasons why it is so is because it gives graduates people skills. And people skills are very, very important today in the workplace. Employers are looking for uh, candidates with people skills, candidates that are able to interact in the workplace and able to, uh, you know, um, be part of the workplace, be able to contribute to the workplace. And they're looking for workers that are friendly, workers that have interpersonal communication skills, workers that can really gel in the workplace. The chemistry is very important in the workplace, we know. Now, you can be the best worker, you can have the best experience, you can be the most experienced or the most knowledgeable in the workplace, but if you don't have people's skills, all that goes to waste because you're not able to interact. So, yeah, political science gives its graduates people skills because of your ability really to interact with people in society, your ability to study and study and understand people, and just by nature of the different aspects of the discipline, gives you opportunity to interact with people on many levels. Critical thinking skills very important today, and political science gives its graduates critical thinking skills because it's analytic to begin with. You analyze a lot of situations in this discipline. Opportunities are there to be involved in quantitative research as well as qualitative research, and that gives you critical thinking skills for you to be able to think critically about different subjects in the area, about political parties, about political institutions, about the method of governance, about the decision-making process in government, and many, many subjects along those lines. So along those lines of critical thinking, it gives you analytical skills as well, right? Because you're writing research reports, you are analyzing statistics, voters, for example, voters information, trends, for example. You are seeking to understand governmental policies by going back into the archives to see, percentages of people that voted for this and that, and referendums and so forth, etc. These are just some examples, and you're able to pick up analytical skills in that way. So political science, as the best, actually the best amongst the social sciences, gives you these skills. Is most versatile degree in the social sciences. We say it gives you people skills, it gives you critical thinking skills, which is very critical again today in the workplace. Employers are looking for candidates who are critical thinkers, who are able to analyze situations not at face value, not to take situations at face value and say, okay, yeah, that is true. But people that can dig deep and come up with a deeper analysis as to why this happened, could be the reason behind this event, and why do we have this outcome. So critical thinking is there, analytical skills are there. Now, there are many sub-areas in political science, but here we're going to highlight 6 of them. And these 6 are very critical, and the graduates can go into any one of these 6 or a combination of these 6. International relations is a key area in political science that one can specialize in. And in this area, then, as the name suggests, international relations, right? So you're dealing with countries, essentially. You're dealing with countries, you're dealing with treaties, for example, international treaties. You're dealing with international law, Geneva Convention, for example, treaties that have been that are out there, international treaties, international law, international regulations, things that guide international behavior of nations, right? So in international relations, and within this context of international relations, you have diplomacy as well. And so political science graduates could become diplomats. If they specialize in this area, they could become diplomats, understanding the intricacies and the dynamism of international relations. And again, this is a very important sub-area of political science, and more so quite important today in the age of globalization and increasingly, disappearing boundaries, international boundaries. So international relations is key, is one of the key areas underpinning of the discipline. Comparative politics is another, where, as again, as the name suggests, you're comparing politics. You're comparing politics of two different nations, for example, or you're comparing politics even within the same space, where there's a polarized, audience, polarized society, and you have pluralism and so forth. You have different politics, and you are analyzing the different politics as well. And this can give you really a good perspective as to effective governance, right? Effective governance. So comparative politics, another underpinning of the subject of the discipline, political theory, and this is really dealing with the philosophical aspect of the discipline, political theory. There are many theories in political science, some very old theories, some not so old, some new. Understanding those theories that have come to form the pillar of the discipline, right? Studying those theories, understanding them, analyzing them, and that's why we say it gives analytical skills. And that's why we also say critical thinking skills are very important here as well, especially when you're dealing with theory. Political economy, right? So understanding the political economy of a country, of a region, of a state, of a province, and political economy means political decisions that have economic impact. That's political economy. Political decisions that have economic impact. If a government makes a decision about maybe passing a law, that law may have economic consequences, right? It may have positive or negative impact on the economy. That's political economy. So political actions that have bearing on the economy. So understanding this is very important as well, because, and this is a very key sub area of the discipline, because it combines two very important disciplines: political science and economics, right? So the intersection of political science and economics is very important here, and very insightful as well. It gives us a lot of insight into what's happening in our society as per the economy and the political environment. So political philosophy ties in a way with political theory. So political philosophy, understanding the founders of the discipline, and what they had in mind, and how they thought about the discipline and the different aspects of discipline. Political philosophy has become a very key area of the discipline as well. And then national politics, right? So when we say national politics, we're talking about, depending on the country you're in, we're talking about the politics of your country. So if you're in the United States, American politics. If you're in Canada, Canadian politics. If you're in Australia, Australian politics. If you're in the UK, UK politics, and so forth. So national politics of the country you're in, or the country you're interested in, you can study that. You can study that as a sub-area of the discipline. All right, so these are very important areas of political science, where graduates moving on to graduate degrees could specialize in these areas: international relations, comparative politics, political theory, political economy, political philosophy, national politics. Depending on the country you're in, you can also study state politics. You can also study regional politics. You can study municipal politics. It's endless. And that's the beauty of the subject. And that's why we say it's one of the best, or it's the best actually, amongst the social sciences, because of the versatility, right? So you can study governments at different levels. You can study organizations. You can study trends and so forth, policies, etc. Hardly any of the other disciplines in the social sciences have this kind of flexibility. Okay, so what can you do with a political science degree? The list is exhaustive, and here we say a lot of political science graduates go into law, because it's a very good foundation for law. An understanding of society and how it works, an understanding of the political process, understanding of how decisions are made is very key. And if you're going to be a good lawyer, you must be analytic. You must have analytical skills. Political science gives you that skill level. You must be a critical thinker if you're going to be a lawyer. And political science gives you the skill to become a critical thinker as well, because of the way it challenges you, the different areas of the discipline and the different requirements to go through the discipline. Non-profit organizations like the United Nations, you can work at. United Nations is a political body, and it has different arms and different areas that require political science graduates. They could be there as researchers, policy analysts, advisors. They could be there as people that understand policies and how policies are formed. They could be involved in that process. They could work in government, in different aspects of government as well, different aspects of government. They could be, again, researchers, policy analysts, and especially a lot of political science graduates are policy analysts in government setting, because government deals with policies. And we better understand policies than political science graduates that deal with politics and policies. International relations, we discussed that earlier. It could be involved in international relations. You can work in that area. It could be a diplomat. It could be involved in treaties, in understanding and drafting treaties, international law, dealing with all of those aspects of international law. It could be involved in research. You research a number of subjects. Again, the list is exhaustive as to the number of subjects you are able to research as a political scientist. Teaching is certainly one of the key areas you can get into, teaching political science to a future political scientist. Political campaign, you can get involved in political campaign. And a lot of, the political parties, depending on where you are, can get involved in political campaign, and not just get involved in political campaign, but understanding the voters' needs, understanding trends, and understanding current affairs, and informing, the campaign, informing your principal, informing, the party you belong to, and so forth. All of these are very, very crucial to winning elections. So political campaign is one of the options. Political advisor, a political scientist would be a very good political advisor, because that person understands politics, understands the lay of the land when it comes to politics. So a lot of political science graduates would do well in this area. They can be political analysts as well, analyzing events on TV, on different social media platforms, in traditional media, newspaper, and so forth, right? So political analysts, they can be political analysts analyzing current events. And we need that very much today, because there are many events out there. There are many events out there that they need to analyze. People need to understand why those events are happening, the impact those events have on them, and the future impact of those events, and so forth. International development, and this is a very key aspect, opportunity for political science graduates, getting involved in international development activities. And international development involves understanding different countries and the politics in those countries that may hinder international development, or even enhance international development, depending on the situation. So that's why it's important for political science graduates to be involved in this, because they understand policies that impact development. They understand the factors that impact development, political factors, economic factors as well. We talked about political economic factors as well. They understand that. They can be political consultants, right? So political consultants consulting on the political level, and people usually pay good money to get good political advice, especially in governmental settings or non-governmental organizations that interact with government quite a bit. They hire political science graduates to be political consultants, to do research and studies on this and that and so forth. That way they are well positioned when they're interacting with government. It can be lobbyists as well, lobbying politicians, lobbying lawmakers, lobbying different aspects, aspects of society, depending on what the situation is. A lot of political scientists are lobbyists. They are good at it because they understand policy, they understand implications, they understand trends, and they are very good at it, again, because they are critical thinkers, they are analytic, and they are able to convince people on a certain objective or certain goal, and whatever the case may be. They can work in the public sector, right? Many aspects of the public sector. Government, obviously, and the government, of course, is a huge organization. So within the government, it can work in different aspects of the government, different ministries, different organizations, different agencies within the government, etc. Political science graduates do well as public servants because they understand public policy, they understand the processes of government, how government works. They understand the processes of decision making. They understand all that. And so understanding that is really important to being successful in this area. They can be journalists as well, right? Because they have good verbal and written skills. They have all of that in place. Again, they are critical thinkers. Again, they are analytic. And all of these are required to be a good journalist. Understanding the story, and especially a political journalist, understanding the story. And if you take a look at the news today, most of it is about politics. Most of it is about politics, what has happened in capitals around the world. If you want to take the United States as an example, what's going on in Washington, an event in Washington becomes news right away. Political events in Washington becomes news. We have, hundreds of news organizations stationed in Washington, D.C. That's because it's the political capital. And they want to understand what's happening, and they report the news accordingly. So political science graduates can be good journalists. They can be public opinion researchers, especially in a campaign setting, election setting, or about a certain project or a certain event or whatever the case may be. They can be pollsters, and they can be politicians themselves, right? Coming back to pollsters, they can be pollsters trying to understand how people think, people's behavior during elections, and understanding the trend, the direction. And that's why before an election, pretty much people know the winner of that election based on polls. And some of those pollsters are political scientists because they study the behavior of voters, of the electorate, based on past trends and understanding based on region, based on a number of factors, the economy, what's happening in the economy, what's happening in society in general. Based on all of those things, they're able to predict the winner of an election through polls. That's a very important job. And then, of course, there can be politicians themselves, right? They can be politicians themselves, and they understand politics. And political scientists, being politicians, are likely to be successful politicians because they understand the inner workings of government. There's no one else that understands the inner workings of government than political scientists, because this is their area. This is what they study. And so if they're going to politics, they understand the policy making. They understand interaction with the voters. They understand interaction with their electorate. They understand interaction with the other arms and branches of government. They understand the limitations of power. They understand the separation of power. They understand all of those things. They understand interest, governmental interest, political interest, and all of those apparatus of government and methods of governance are well understood by political scientists. So they can make a very good politician. They can become very good politicians. And finally, they can also be involved in law enforcement, right? In law enforcement. Because again, as a political scientist, you're working closely with the constitution, understanding the law, understanding rules and regulations and so forth. In some areas, the constitution is also part of political science, studying the constitution, understanding different aspects of the constitution and its requirements and so forth. This is why we say political science is the best degree among social sciences, because of the versatility of the degree and the skills that it gives its graduates and the opportunities to specialize in 6 different areas and in some cases even more, that are not mentioned here. International relations, comparative politics, political theory, political economy, political philosophy, national politics. All of these are areas of expertise. And then, of course, a lot more areas where you can work. So political science is the best amongst the social science disciplines, the very best degree among the social science disciplines because of the opportunities it gives its graduates, the flexibility it gives its graduates, the appeal it gives its graduates, and of course, it can never be bored as a political scientist. There are many things, many areas that will excite you. If one area doesn't excite you, another area excites you or piques you, your academic interest and intellectual interest as well. So political science is clearly the best among the social sciences.